Mrs. Cruz, you're at Hope Academy. Tell me about Hope Academy.
Well, Hope Academy is a program that was set in place 8 years ago. Hope Academy was developed after one of the principals at Eufaula High School and the assistant principal began to look at the dropout rate of students once they enter ninth, 10th grade at the high school. And that number was high. They looked at the reason why children was dropping out the way that they were dropping out. And they came up with some very surprising information. Many children were leaving the school system because they didn't feel comfortable in the Lord's setting, or they felt that they just didn't fit in. So when a child turned 16 at that time, their next goal was to drop out of school. So they talked to the superintendent, who was Barry Sallow at that time, and gave them their input and their ideas. Dr. Sallow bought into what they were saying, and Hope Academy was developed.
Hope Academy is now located in the former Bluff City Elementary School, which is also referred to now as the central office. Is this where it started at?
No, this is not where it started. Our first 2 years of Hope Academy was where the old central office was located, and that was on Sanford Avenue, where we were in the old building right across from the central office. It had its advantages and its disadvantages being in that place because we were upstairs with some of our classes and we were downstairs with some of our classes.
When you look at Hope Academy, basically describe to us exactly what you try to do with Hope Academy when a student comes here.
When a student is referred to Hope Academy, we look at the total student. We look at the grades the student has made. We look at the behavior that the student has displayed. We also look at the family surrounding this child. We try to look at all those components to make a decision on if this is the best place for the student. We find that many of our students that come to Hope Academy are students who have had problems in the home. Say, for an example, there might be a parent that's absent, maybe due to a death. Maybe there's one that's incarcerated. Maybe there's one that's in drug rehab. Maybe the child is being raised by grandparents. If this is happening, then we try to bring the child in and we do a home visit on every single child that attends Hope Academy. And we do that so that we will know how to best work with that child to help that child reach his fullest potential.
What should a parent do if they find out that their child has been offered Hope Academy? Should they panic?
Oh, no, sir, by no means. First, they should come to Hope Academy and take a look. Sit down and talk with me. Let us explain to them what Hope Academy is all about. Secondhand information is always the worst. But if you come and you sit down and let us talk to you and tell you exactly what we can and what we can't do for the child, I think any parents whose child is behind would love to have their child come to Hope Academy to get caught up.
I know your goal would be to have 100% satisfaction with Hope Academy in accomplishing the goals for that particular student. What in reality is your success rate?
I would say about 98% of our students who come to Hope Academy, they graduate from high school. You have to remember now that we have more than just those students who are coming and graduating. We have the pregnant component, where if a girl gets pregnant, she comes to Hope Academy. We keep her on track by allowing her to work ahead of her other classmates. Once she has a baby and go back into her regular school setting, she's not behind. What have we accomplished there? We've accomplished two things. We've kept that child in school, and we've also kept that child on track. And I'm just a firm believer that if you keep a child on track, they're less likely to drop out of school.
The stigma that I think that Hope Academy has in the general public because of lack of knowledge is that this is only for students who like the meanest students in the school. What is the typical student like that comes into this facility?
A child that comes here is just like your everyday students. We've had students that come to Hope Academy. As a matter of fact, I have a student right now that's an honor student. The student got behind in another school system, came to our school, and the child was put into honor classes. But with her being behind 1 year, we wanted her to get caught up. So we brought her to Hope Academy. She's getting caught up. She's doing extremely well. I taught a reading class just yesterday, and she was a part of that reading class. Answered questions that you would have no idea that she would have an answer to. So we look at the students for various reasons. Yes, you might be a little behind, but once you get to us, we can get you caught up and get you back on track, and then you can go back to where you rightfully belong.
Welcome to the Walmart Vision Center.
Quality eye care by a team of professionals and as close as your local Walmart Supercenter here in Eufaula. Eye exams are done right and we accept most vision plans. TRICARE, Alabama and Georgia Medicaid. Dr. Clark is a certified professional in primary eye care. The Vision Center in Walmart of Eufaula with everyday low prices. Is each student's goal different from the other?
Yes, sir. Very different. We might have a child that comes that might be 1 year behind. Let me back up a little bit and start to explain to you the procedures that we use in bringing a child to Hope Academy. Each counselor at each school, the high school and at Memorial Middle School, they look at all of the students that they have enrolled in their school. We at Hope have a choice to choose what grade level we want to work with each year. This year we had chosen to work with students in grades 8 through 12. So what the counselor and the principal at the middle school did, they looked at all of their students that were in 7th and 8th grade, and they made a determination how many of these students are academically behind. If they were behind for 1 year or 2 years or even more, then these students' names were put on a list. Then we have an advisory committee. The advisory committee comes together. We look at the grades of the children, we look at the behavior of the children, and we look at the condition of the home of the children. Then we make a conscious decision. How many of these children are we going to accept? I then send a letter home to the parent, explaining to the parent, your child's name has been put on this list. If the parent do not want their child to come to Hope Academy, they do not have to come. If they want the child to come to Hope Academy, then I set up a meeting, the parent come in, I explain Hope Academy to the parent, and then we have the child to come in, and we explain Hope Academy to the child. If the parent and the child together decides that this is something that they want to do, we then bring the child into Hope Academy. Once we have made our list of all the students that's going to be a part of Hope Academy, we then have a joint parent meeting. The parent meeting is mandatory. There is no way that a child can come to Hope Academy unless the parent or someone that parent selects come to that parenting meeting. Reason being, we want the parents to be able to ask all the questions that they might have. We want to satisfy anything that they've heard in the community that could or could not be true. And we want to talk to that parent so we can see what else is it that we can do to help make things better for your child while your child is here. So we have this parent meeting. And then we come in the first day of school, we begin sitting our schedule in place. We look at the classes that the child failed in the last grade that they attend. Give you a good example. If I had an 8th grade student who came in, and that 8th grade student had passed all of their classes at AMMS with the exception of maybe math and English, we would bring that student in. We will let them take a pre-test to see exactly where they are. Once they have taken that pre-test, and it will come from the Plato modules that we work with, then that module will go back and it will build a program for that child to work on with whatever it is that he does not know. Then we go back and we take the same test that they give at Memorial Middle School at the end of the year, and we allow this child to test. If this child tests and pass with a certain score, then he no longer has to go back into that math class again. He's moved up then to 9th grade math. This is, in a sense, the same thing that would happen if the child had gone to summer school. So now we've gotten them past that 7th grade math or that 8th grade math, depending on what grade we're testing on. We're ready now to look at the other class that he didn't pass, which would have been language arts. If he didn't pass language arts, we do the same procedures. Once they have finished those 2 classes, they are no longer 8th grade students. We move them into the 9th grade. They begin now working on all of the 9th grade work, but they take a pre-test for every subject in 9th grade that they would normally take in high school. Once they take this pre-test, anything that they pass, they don't have to go back through again. The modules are automatically built. The teachers work with them hands on hand, and then they go in and they take a test at the end of the semester. At the end of that semester, If they pass that ninth grade work, they're ready to go into 10th grade. We have accomplished passing 2 grades in that 1 year, and that's our goal. Now this child is back on track. Do we send them back immediately to the high school at that point? No, we don't. We have a meeting with the teachers, we have a meeting with the parent, and with the student. If that student just barely passed those classes, we know that that child is not ready to go back to the high school. We'll keep them for the remainder of that year, but they will be doing 10th grade work with our guidance. And then at the end of that 10th grade year, they're ready for the 11th grade. And most of our students stay on track once they go back.
How big is the student body at Hope Academy at any given time?
The maximum number of students that we can have in Hope Academy itself per se are 60 students, no more than 60. Now bear in mind, we do have a side of Hope Academy that is called alternative school. Alternative school is totally different from Hope Academy. Alternative school is a school where we house the children who have broken the school rules throughout the year in grades kindergarten through 12. Hope Academy is a program that addresses the needs of the children in grades 8 through 12 this year to help them to get back on track of where they missed out as they were coming along. Somewhere down the line, they didn't do something that they needed to do.
When you look at Hope Academy and you talk about goals, what is a future goal for Hope Academy?
Future goal for Hope Academy is to make sure that when our students graduate from Hope Academy, they will be able to go into a 2 or 4 year college and be just as successful as a child that graduated from Eufaula High School, because they are a part of Eufaula High School, or they will be ready to go into the workforce.
When you talk about ready to go into the workforce, what specific skills beyond a typical education do they have here versus Hope Academy, versus the high school ones?
They have the same opportunity to take any classes at Hope Academy that they take at the high school. What we do is the students go to the high school the very first thing in the morning. They have breakfast at the high school, and there's a bus that picks them up and they bring them to Hope Academy. They get here at 8:30. They stay here from 8:30 to 10:15. They go back to the high school at 10:15. They can take any extracurricular programs that they have. They can be a part of it. They can take any extra classes that we do not offer here at Hope Academy at the high school. They stay at the high school until 12 o'clock. And then they come back here. At Hope Academy, we pretty much just work with the children in the core subjects. Now, our classes come from Access and Plato. To help you better understand what I'm saying when I say Access and Plato, Access is a program that has been set in place by the State Department of Alabama. We are sure that everything that needs to be put into that program is there. And when I say everything, I'm making reference to your college and career readiness standards. So we don't have to worry about if that's already in that program, because coming from the state, it's already there. Then we have another program called Plato. Plato serves children in grade 8 through 12. With Plato, we take our modules and we put our curriculum beside those modules. We make sure that everything that needs to be covered in our curriculum is covered through Plato. There are times that we might find holes in our program through Plato. What do we do then? We have our teachers to take that book that they're using at the high school or the middle school, and they have to teach those classes or those courses one-on-one themselves to fill in the gaps.
If you had one thing that you could tell the community in Eufaula, which would be what they should know about Hope Academy in a firm little paragraph, what would that be?
Hope Academy is one of the best things that could have ever happened to Eufaula City schools if your child is academically behind. Hope Academy addresses first the told child. We, my teachers and myself, we love our students. And I'm a firm believer that it takes a village to raise a child. And in order to raise a child, we must first show them love. We do that home visit so that we can have a connection with the parents, so that they know that we care. Once that parent finds out that we really and truly care and that child is here, I think that child will always be successful. They will get back on track, and they will go back to their home school prepared to further their education. So if I had one thing to say, try us if you need us. Come see what we're doing, and let's go from there.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Cruz. I know we haven't covered everything, but we're going to be back.
Thank you so much for coming, and it has been such a pleasure to speak with you today.